Hey, percolates. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm gonna make it a thing. Hello, welcome back to yet another episode of Coffee Talk. Me, your roaster, your hoster, Bradley. Today we're bringing you a fine new pulped natural coffee from Brazil called the Primavera, Brazil Primavera, and it's our latest offering in our sort of natural Brazil slot. It's got a lot of that classic Brazil profile. It's very intense. It's very full-bodied. It's got a lot of nut notes, got a lot of chocolate notes. Doesn't have a lot of fruit. It actually has some really nice fruit flavors, which we'll get into when I taste this and when brew it. But you know, by and by, it is very classic Brazil, and I think that's really good. And so, in the interest of really letting that Brazil shine, we're actually gonna do a little bit of a different thing in Coffee Talk today. Normally, I do chemixes and I've done a V60 now. But I'm actually going to do an AeroPress, which I have not done personally in a long time, so I'm a little rusty on it. This would also be really good on a French press or maybe a clever dripper or anything full immersion. Yeah, with that said, let's get brewing. All right, so today we're going to do an AeroPress, just because I think this Brazil is going to do really well for a full immersion kind of thing. Got my AeroPress. I have this little third-party like aftermarket metal filter, which is super cool. Yeah, you can use paper filters. I honestly just use this because it's less waste, and I don't really care about having like the clarity that a paper filter brings to an AeroPress because I'm brewing full immersion anyway. And you know, if I don't want a little grit, little body, then I'm gonna brew like a Chemex or something else. I guess first things first. I'm gonna put the plunger in the AeroPress. I like to do inverted just because it's pretty easy. The plunger's in just enough so that it forms a nice seal. I wanna have as much room in the brewing chamber as there, but set that aside here. Weigh out our coffee. Brazil Primavera. I'm gonna do like 19 grams of coffee. That just feels right to me. This is usually the point at which my cat comes running in. Oh no, he's right behind me. Oh God. Okay. Cool that. I got my Brats Encore set on 10. That just has been what's worked for me. And if you're brewing an AeroPress, I would definitely recommend starting there. Obviously every grinder's different, but cool. Coffee in, loud noises. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little rinse of the filter and also preheat the decanter. Water's at like 210. Set that to the side. I'm also gonna use this water just to preheat the actual AeroPress. The AeroPress is plastic, which means it's actually really temperature stable. So yeah, I got my AeroPress all warmed up here. Gonna just dump that in the sink. And then, cool, goes right on the scale. Tare. Gonna get coffee. Cool, so we got coffee in here, 19 grams, tare, and then gonna get in the timer mode here. And I'm just gonna fill this up. I think it's like 220 grams of water. We're gonna start the timer. Yeah, make sure to get everything all nice and saturated. I think this thing will fit like 200 grams. Yeah. It's 210. Gotta be careful when it's fresh coffee like this and it gets all gassy and bubbly. But yeah, I'm just getting in here with a chopstick to make sure all of these like dry bits in the bottom are evenly saturated. Cool, and then I'm gonna grab the cap, stick it on there real quick. And then set this off to the side. Cool, and then this is gonna sit for 1 minute and 30 seconds. So hold tight. But yeah, I really like the AeroPress because it's dead simple. It's really hard to get a bad cup of coffee out of it. That full immersion just like adds so much extra body and extra oomph, which I think is really going to complement this Primavera nicely. Cool. So we're just about 120. I'm gonna flip it over here. Notice I'm not plunging on the scale. I don't really want to press on the scale. Make sure I'm in the frame. And yeah, you know, you don't want to be too aggressive with this, but also like it's time for the coffee to be out. So you're gonna plunge until you hear a little hissing noise. There it is. Once it's done, get all those little droplets out, and then here we go. Grab myself my favorite mug, Roseline Pottery in Utah. If you're watching, I love you, Travis. Pour a little coffee, and let's wait for this to cool down a little bit and go drink it. Cool. See you in a second. All right, here we go. Got the freshly brewed Brazil Primavera. As we learned last time with the Congo, let this come to a nice drinkable temperature. Yeah, let's give this a little slurp. Why did I have to say that so weird? I don't know. Yeah, see right away, man. I almost want to not do tasting notes for this because I think like the Brazil doesn't ask to be described with flowery words. It doesn't ask you to get all eloquent and poetic about it. It doesn't require you to like get to its level to understand it. It just is, and it invites you with open arms. And boy howdy, is that good. It like, honestly, the first feeling of drinking this, it's like a blanket. Like, it's like this really like sweet, gentle, like kind of slightly bitter baker's chocolate, just like sweetness that is just super inviting and really easy to drink. The AeroPress, with its kind of like little grittiness and that kind of slightly more concentrated brew level, just like really complements that really well. It's like super intense, but just very comforting nonetheless. Yeah, like I said before, it's not a lot of like really upfront fruit or tart or like acidic bright notes. There's a little bit of like a very understated kind of appley, applesauce kind of sweetness. An appley more like a baked apple, you know, like an apple pie maybe. Not like a fresh off the vine, like crispy, juicy apple, but like apples that have been like stewed and baked in, you know, some cinnamon sugar and nutmeg and all those kind of things that have lost like that initial like bite, and it's just all just like that gushy sweetness. It's just like chocolate, a little bit of apple, and then just this lovely lasting finish that like is roasty in all the best senses of the way. Which is another way that like I think we, when I'm roasting this, like I'm not trying to roast it like a Wash Ethiopian to get all these like floral, delicate, fruity things out of it. You know, I'm really trying to accentuate that like body and that richness. And so that means a little bit more of a developed roast, a little darker. Still not a dark roast by any means, but yeah. So if you're looking for kind of a cup of coffee that like is going to fill that niche, if you're looking for something to kind of ease you from like your old school coffee and looking for something a little more, oh, we got mail. Thank you. Yeah, if you're looking for a coffee that is going to be a little bit more familiar, if you're familiar with drinking dark roasted stuff, but you are kind of curious about specialty and maybe getting something a little nicer, this is definitely something I can recommend. It is incredibly balanced. It is incredibly smooth, incredibly drinkable, and like it's gonna hit that that like warm, satisfying thing, like yeah, right in the dang center. But there's a little bit more fruitiness as it cools, I think. But again, it's so like mellow and muted that it's really not like a loud, attention-seeking coffee. And again, a lot of that has to do with the brew method. The AeroPress kind of like helps bring out kind of the mids and the lows of the EQ of coffee. That was another really nerdy reference. Boy, howdy. But yeah, try this on French press too. I would recommend, actually, for a French press setting, grinding it maybe like just a little coarser than your pour overs. A lot of people grind like as coarse as you can for French press. You're actually gonna miss out a lot of that like extraction and sweetness by grinding finer. So yeah, do that, drink it, enjoy it. I'm gonna go take, well, I was gonna say take a nap, but in reality I just drank, 20 ounces of coffee, so I'm gonna be bouncing off the walls here in a second. But yeah, if y'all have any questions about the Brazil, any of our other coffees, any brewing tips, tricks, guidelines, etc., please reach out to us, email, any of these social media channels. Love to help and love to help you all figure out your setups. If you want to pick up a bag of the Brazil Primavera, you can head over to perkcoffee.com/shop and pick up a bag or two. Get some of the other coffees while you're there, while you're at it. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Peace.